Bigfoot Collectors Club with Michale and Riley. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I could recite that in my sleep, I think, by this point.
You probably have.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've been talking in my sleep a lot lately. I've been getting in arguments with people in my life and like waking up being like, well, that's how you're making me feel. And then I'm fully awake. Oh no, my light that I charged to be my backdrop is already blinking out. Oh well, sorry everybody if you're watching this on YouTube.
Up on you.
I know, I always think it is too. Hi, I'm Michael McMillan, your host. With me always is the Enchanter of Echoes.
I like that one. Riley Bray. Hi everybody.
That was submitted to us by Derek Cole, artist extraordinaire.
Derek.
Did the artwork for the show. So
he's the enchanter of Illustrator.
That is very true. The summoner of
squiggles.
Of shapes. Yes.
Shapes is better.
I don't know. They're both. It could be. Both of these could be worked out.
Yeah.
But that's a reminder if you haven't been over to the BCC Public shop lately to pick yourself up a T-shirt or a sticker or a hat or whatever. Go over there and do that. I'll put the links in the show notes. Okay. Our guest is waiting patiently.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring her in. She is an academic. She is a writer. She is a comedian. She is a performer and a paranormal investigator. You may remember her as our hostess with the mostest from the Kellogg House Ghost Quest a couple years ago. Club Scouts of all timelines. Please welcome back to the show in the clubhouse for the very first time, Darcy Staniforth.
Woo! I'm so excited to be here with you and the other Club Scouts. This is very exciting.
This is so great, Darcy, because we did not, we were like documentary style last time we saw you. You haven't sat down with us in the virtual clubhouse and like actually talked with us. How are you? And how is the haunted house that you give tours in?
I am good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to chat about things. And the haunted house that I give tours in has been very active. And as it tends to be, for sure. So more and more activity, even during tours, things are happening. And then the thing I need to have y'all come back and do with us again is we've now gotten into the Mag Farmhouse. And that has its whole own set of activity that's very different. So things on the grounds of the Heritage Museum are good and active.
The Mag House, if you're a cosmeteer, is the second house that's very creepy. It's not set up for visitors, or at least it wasn't when we were there. And it's the one where Riley was playing an old, untuned piano.
Spooky piano. Yeah, the Mag House Farm Lament.
That's right, the Mag House Farm Lament. That's
yes.
You can watch that over on the other side. Darcy, I was looking through your bio earlier, and it said that you live in a haunted house. Is this true?
I do live in a haunted house.
Well, let's get into your personal paranormal history. How long have you lived there, and what happens?
Let's hear it.
So I have lived here since 2011, and this house was owned by my husband before I moved in, and he moved in 2001. And we believe that we're the only third long-term owners because there was a flipper in between the second owner and us.
Okay.
But the gentleman that was the second long-term owner, his name is Frank Mike, or was Frank Mike. Frank Mike, lifelong bachelor, military record, was
football coach,
right?
Mustache haver,
right?
Bacon eater.
Frank Mike. I know. It's like such a powerful name. He died in this house on Halloween of the year 1999.
Whoa. Do we know how he passed?
It sounds like he had a heart attack based on like what I've seen in the obituary.
Do you think
But-
some neighborhood kids scared him? Did they
I don't know. I really don't. It could have been
on Mischief Night, All Hallows Eve?
on Devil's Night, right?
Yeah, Devil's Night. I guess it's technically not Mischief Night.
Yeah.
But
So he passed in the house, and it was one of those things where like they don't say he died in the house, but like we know that he died in the house. And so it's one of those things where I think he's more residual. I don't know if we're like ghosts in his timeline where he's a ghost in ours.
right.
The overlap. Yeah.
In the middle of the night, we'll get the smell of blueberry muffins baking. And it's not coming from the neighbors. And I'm talking like 3 in the morning, right? So
My favorite scent.
making some delicious blueberry muffins. And it's like very, like, it's so clear. Like, oh, okay, I'm awake. You smell that? So blueberry muffins. He has opened some doors before, like just very like, that was like not, oh, it's an old house and that door kind of creaked open because the house is from 1920. So I know when it's that kind of door open, but very deliberate, like open the door. And then he turns on stuff. So he will turn on, his first choice of things to turn on is we have electronic candles all around the house. He'll turn those on. Not all at once, just random ones, different ones.
Mm-hmm.
If those die out and I don't realize that they've died, he will start turning the TV on.
Sounds like somebody needs a little bit of attention.
Yeah. And so
I baked you blueberry muffins and you didn't thank me, Darcy.
did not
The
even
least you
think
could
me,
do is
right?
charge these candles.
So I really try on, I mean, obviously as spooky people, we're definitely doing things on Halloween. So I still try, even if I'm out doing tours or getting ready for trick-or-treaters, to make sure I like light a candle and acknowledge Frank Mike. I have done more research with our local historical society to try and get more information on him. And I even found out that his sister is a emeritus professor from Cornell. And I reached out to her via email, which sometimes professors who are retired use them, sometimes they don't. But I reached out to be like, I'd just like to know more about your brother, because it in the obituary does not state he wasn't married. He wasn't survived by any children, at least in the obituary. Now, who knows? Maybe they were not on good terms, but I also wonder sometimes if he was he a lifelong bachelor by choice?
Confirmed bachelor?
A lifelong bachelor.
Yeah.
And so
I feel like, now listen, I don't want to judge anybody. I made blueberry muffins Sunday morning, as a matter of fact. But I do feel like the blueberry muffins are a little bit of a hint.
you know? And here's the thing, like, if he can still feel welcome here and like going around the routine of his house, like, that's great.
Yeah.
And I try all the time, like, I will run like, I borrowed one of my friend's DR60s recently for a trip. So I was trying to do some DR60 work in the house. Nothing. Spirit box sessions, nothing. EVP sessions, or EMF sessions, nothing. So that's where I feel like maybe more residual, but at the same time, like, extra roommate, took good care of the house. Thanks, Frank Mike.
That's nice.
The smells. What do we think about the smells? Because the smells would indicate that this is some sort of like time slip overlap, right? Because why would the smell be a ghost?
Right. And that's the thing, is like this house, the way it's structured, because our house is a single story Spanish style. And I'm in my office right now, which is between the kitchen and the bedroom. So there's a whole room between it. But anytime you cook in the kitchen, you smell it in the bedroom. And so it's like one of those things where like the time of day and it's consistent, like in the middle of the night. And like Sean has smelt it too. So it's not just like, oh, I'm having like things. And so that to me feels like that time slip kind of stuff. And again, he interacts with things that are not like that seem like, I don't know, easy. I don't, we're on this side of the ground and this side
Yeah.
of the veil. I don't know, but seem easier and that would make more sense for him to interact with.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very, like, it's very interesting to me. And so he is definitely someone who I'm like, okay, you're here, but there's been other weird things. Two other weird things, and I don't know if that's more connected to me. I don't think it's so much the house, but over the past number of years, I had 2 friends pass away. And
Sorry.
thank you. One of the friends, like the day I found out they passed away, like my phone had a notification, like as I was talking about it in the house, I had a notification on my phone, like I had a call or a voicemail, like the blinking light. Like, and Sean even noticed, he's like, hey, I think you've got a message or somebody's calling you. And I go over there, it's like, not, nothing's there. So that was weird. The other friend, when I was talking about this person passing, and they had some really deep mental health struggles. And I think they did the best they could for as long as they could, for sure. But as I was talking about that, a pan flew off the wall.
Whoa.
And so I was like, hey, so sometimes I'm like, I don't know who's here. Everybody's welcome. Like, so I think some of it's me. I think some of it's residual. I don't think I've brought anything back from the Kellogg because I don't think the Kellogg's malicious like that.
Took the question right out of my mouth. If anything followed you home.
I really don't think so because one, I think. So do you want an interesting Kellogg House update since Ghost Quest?
Absolutely. You know
Absolutely.
what? Let's take a quick break here, and then when we come back, let's get the Ghost Quest updates.
Yes.
Okay, Darcy. Time for some updates from the Kellogg House, and I'm not done with your personal paranormal history. By the way,
no.
we need to go back in time and find out why you're such a paranormal weirdo.
Get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom.
Let's really drill down into your.
How are things at the Kellogg House?
So things at the Kellogg are good. They're active, as I mentioned, but you all Ghost Quested with me like the end of the year.
Yeah.
Fast forward 4 weeks, and I had a paranormal team come in, Golden State Paranormal, who I do a lot of investigation with. And myself and Martin were standing in the office. And we're standing in the office, and it felt like somebody was like standing behind me, like holding onto my shoulders, like, like in a comforting way, not like grabbing me, but like I'm here. And it felt tall. And we're doing EVPs in there, burst EVPs. And I'm asking Helen, like if it's her, and we're not really getting anything. So I'm feeling this person, and then all of a sudden in my like chest, it starts to feel like I have pressure in my chest and in my throat. Like not scary, but I'm feeling that. I'm like, okay. Because my first thought is like WebMD head where I'm like, oh, I'm having a heart attack. I'm not.
Yeah.
But like I check and I'm feeling this. So then I'm asking more questions about that. We finish. And all of a sudden I was like, I wonder if Hiram's here. So I tell Martin, I'm like, can we go again?
Helen's
husband.
Yeah.
So, and part of the issue I had with Helen when we first started is because I look like I'm related to the first wife.
Oh, right.
So I start asking, Hiram, is this you? And like, I'm going to tell you what I asked and then what the answers were in the burst EVP. Hiram, is this you? Yes. Hiram, are you here because I remind you of Victoria? That's the first wife. Yes. Hiram, am I the reincarnation of Victoria? Yes, I know.
Oh, no.
Are you the one standing behind me? Yes. And then we asked some other questions, and then I asked, would you rather be interned with Victoria than with Helen?
Oh, boy.
Yes, I would.
Oh, boy.
And I
Because
was
the
like,
story you told us on the tours, you had a suspicion that Hiram was like kind of more into Victoria than Helen.
oh, Victoria was the love of Hiram's life.
Yeah,
He and
okay.
Helen were a marriage of convenience. And that's not me like slamming or trying to create some romantic like thing about this. Like it's her grave is like such a testament to true love. And he and Helen like figured it out, but it is very widely known that they were a marriage of convenience.
Right.
So
do you feel like you are Victoria?
Are you being drawn to this
In the
house
new
in
life?
the first place? It's like a
I was drawn to this house in weird ways that I can't explain.
Really?
So when I started with Haunted OC, I wanted to start with Haunted, like I've always been in the paranormal, and we'll get back to my early paranormal roots, Michael, I promise. But being someone who's very extroverted, the isolation of lockdown was terrible for me. I did not do well in it. But because I care for people so much and didn't want to make anybody sick during the pandemic, I was like, I'm not like, I got to take care of people. I got to make sure everybody's good. Because I'm too much of like an empath to not like, if I felt like I got somebody sick, I could never forgive myself. Like
I completely relate.
So that isolation was really tough. And I wanted to get back out to connecting with people. And I thought like, oh, like maybe I can do this kind of more public speaking, paranormal stuff. So I reached out to Haunted OC because I had met them at Midsummer Scream a couple years before. And I knew they did haunted historical. So when we first met, it was like, well, what tour do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm open. Like I'll learn whatever tour you want. And they're like, oh, we're thinking about bringing back the Kellogg. I'm like, great, whatever. Like, I was so nonchalant about it. And as I'm talking to Ernie from Haunted OC at this first dinner, he talks about knowing Chad Lindbergh. And I'm like, oh, well, I know John Tenney, who did Ghost Stalkers, right? Yeah. So, like, we have that connection, right? And then there's, like, some Magic Castle connections and other connections, just, like, coincidences. I'm like, okay. So then I reach out to them again to follow up, and they're like, yeah, would you like to take the Kellogg? And I'm like, sure, that would be great. So I go to do the first walkthrough with the former director, Jamie Hibber, and Jamie is an amazing person. She's the one who has Orville, the amazing dog that we talk about on the tour.
Yep.
And, we do the walkthrough and everything, and it's great, and we're connecting, and I call my mom afterwards to be like, just catch up, and I'm like, Mom, oh my gosh, it's so exciting that I'm going to do this tour, and the director, she and I are like such kindred spirits. Her name is Jamie, and my mom goes, Hibber. And I go, wait, how do you know Jamie? She goes, oh, we're in the women's club together, and we're birthday twins. And I was like, what?
Wild.
So that's like number one. So then, learning the tour, I see the picture of Victoria, and like, I know I've got my bangs, my hair's a little more red, but I am dark-haired, wavy hair like Victoria. And these eyebrows are really for those of you who are listening and not saying, I've got some thick Brooke Shieldsy eyebrows. It is the Garrett side of the family, let me tell you. And that was very much Victoria. So that was already a little like, oh, this woman, I could be in this woman's family. So then, as I'm like researching the tour more and more and starting to learn it, I dig into Hiram's obituary, and I learned that Hiram, it was a Mason. He was a free and accepted Mason, and he belonged to one of the first Santa Ana lodges, and that was Lodge 241.
Cool.
So I go to my husband, who is a Mason, and I was like, what lodge is your lodge number? He's like, oh, I'm in Lodge 241.
These are wild synchronicities.
It gets wilder.
Okay, keep it cooking.
I'm like, okay. Because it's the Tustin Lodge. I go, was Tustin Santa Ana before? He goes, yeah, they became Tustin. So not only are they brothers in Masonry, they're brothers of the same lodge. Wild.
Crazy.
Then I had been having trouble, like finding Helen's stuff before I was able to see her actual internment at the mausoleum. And I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to find some more information about Helen. And I'm on a tour one night, and a lot of the stuff in the house is donated. So it's not all belong to the house. But this young man points out that we have Order of the Eastern Star china in one of the cabinets because we have a Victorian Tea Society at the museum. And he first thought it was like devil worship china. I was like, no, that's Order of the Eastern Star. I understand with the pentagram, but like, it's not that.
Not that.
So I was like, I wonder if Helen was Order of the Eastern Star. So that night I go, Helen, Order of the Eastern Star. And then her stuff pops up. Like, and I'm a trained researcher. Like, I don't, like, this is part of what I do. So that was
good association, though. Yeah, unlock it.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you want to find out? Here you go. And I'm like, got it. So then I finally get a day where I can go to Anaheim Cemetery to get into the community mausoleum because it's only you can only get into it Monday through Friday if the staff like unlocks it for you.
Darcy, I just want
yes.
to pause here and
Yes.
say, if ever a vampire infiltrated your social circle, you would crack this motherfucker in less than a week. Like you would find out, who his maker was, how long he's been a vampire, what 100%. His lineage is, what ship he came over here on, and like, you'd find his mausoleum. Like, I just feel like you would crack this so fast.
Because it's like, okay, we got to dig in. I got to know because I don't want to tell people bad facts because I can't control the facts once I tell people facts because then they go and do with them what they want. So, and also that's a really high compliment, Michael. Like, let me just acknowledge the high compliment that is. But then also, do I get that? Like, I need to find that out because if they're going to turn me, I need to make sure the vampire lineage is strong.
Yeah.
Eternity is a long time. Yeah.
If you're gonna join that family, you got to know. But I just feel like, if this had been Nosferatu, like he would never gotten on the boat to begin with.
He wouldn't have gotten on. I'd be like, no, this is a shady business deal. Like she was all like, please don't go. I have a bad feeling. And I'd be like, nope. Here are the issues.
Yeah, you would have the proof there.
This is the joy of watching probably way too much Dayline.
So you're at the cemetery.
I'm at the cemetery. I go to the cemetery manager to get let into the mausoleum. This guy could care. He was just like, whatever. But I walk up to the doors because they have beautiful wrought copper doors on the outside, beautifully designed. It was built in 1911, so it has beautiful architecture to it. And he opens those, and then they have hand-carved wooden doors that open into the actual mausoleum. And on the hand-carved wooden doors are shafts of wheat in the middle, which symbolize like a good life lived, a pure life in Victorian times. And then all around were Yorkshire roses. And I have a Yorkshire rose tattooed on my leg as a memorial piece to my dad. So I was like, okay, we're going in the right direction. Got it. So I go in, I'm in the mausoleum taking photos, talking to them. Like, I don't know, maybe they're there, maybe they're not. We're talking. I come out, the groundskeeper, Andrew, asks me, hey, what are you doing here? Because it's a small park. He knows that all the families that come and visit. I'm new. And we start talking. And I said, and he's like, yeah, I've worked at this cemetery for like 5+ years now. But I worked at El Toro before. And I said, oh, we have family buried at El Toro. And he's like, but I don't live in El Toro, which is now Lake Forest or Anaheim. He's like, I live in Tustin. I go, where do you live in Tustin? He's like, I live in Old Town Tustin. And I'm like, where do you live in Old Town Tustin?
Old man, where do you live?
Where do you live, old man? He lives in the condos across the street from me. And I was like, you're my neighbor. You're my across the street neighbor. So he's like, do you want to see the original internment logs of the cemetery? Yes, I do. So he brought all that up. So I got like
old papers, old historical papers. Yes, please.
Old historical. Yes. So that happens. And so like, it's just been all these synchronous. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm meant to be here. Fast forward to last year. I don't talk about that Hiram piece on the tour. That's a little more like special knowledge like this. And I have these two gentlemen on the tour with me. And at the end of the night, like I have not talked about this Hiram piece at all. I have not really made allusions to Victoria, or I mean, I've talked about her, but not that connection for me.
You're not like, by the way, I might be Victoria.
And also I have a ghost husband.
Super into me.
Yeah, he's super into me, a man.
My house smells like blueberry muffins occasionally.
So the gentleman comes up at the end and they're talking to me and they're like, oh, we're sensitive and things like that. I'm like, oh, great. And we're just chatting. Because I love whenever people share stories, right? Like that's always, that's like the best part of this job. And he goes, do you believe in reincarnation? I said, why?
Oh, whoa.
He's like, I'm being told that you're the first wife.
No,
What?
stop. What?
Swear to God.
Just like a guy?
Just a guy. A random guy. And myself and Caitlin, our wedding and events coordinator, are like trying to hold it together. We're like, this is so interesting.
Huh. I never thought about that.
Never thought about that.
I would have been like Elaine Bennis. Get out. I would have shoved him so hard.
Shove him out the door. Yeah. So that is wild. And I don't know what to do with all that. And I just continue to take care of the house as best I can.
Wow. I mean, a lot to unpack here, but like, I mean, let's say, okay, you are the reincarnation of Victoria.
Sure.
Like, can't you live your own life, Darcy? Like Victoria, can't you let me live my life as Darcy? Like, why are you brought back to the past? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What's the point if all of this stuff is in the past? Is it what is it about the place that's making you stay there, I guess? You know what I mean? Like, is Victoria's life not allowed to like end in your life to not that you don't have a life, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? Like, let it go, everybody.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
It's one
the guy
of those...
remarried. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
He remarried. He moved on, but apparently he's not moved on. So
yeah,
but the thing that is like,
well, I got another question for you.
Interesting to like. I mean, all of this is interesting to me. I don't want to be like, this is the interest. This is all wild. Like, I'm just like, okay, like, can he not find her on the other side?
Well, this is my question. If Victoria's in you, then no, right? I mean, does anyone say that Victoria ever haunts the house? Does anyone see Victoria's ghost?
Because Victoria didn't live in the house.
Ever.
Like, the house came along
later.
7 years after her. So, like, she didn't ever live in that house. It's not her house.
Yeah.
So it's wild to me.
It's wild. Hiram, much like Count Orlok, Hiram has brought you to his house. He's summoned you there.
But I just have to give tours.
Yeah, but you work there.
I just work. It's like, I have a job.
You must work for me. Give them a tour. Show them the dog.
Tour them.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Darcy, how did you end up in the clutches? We got some L files to read, so we really need to speed this up. But how did you end up how did you ever put yourself in the position to be in the clutches of Hiram? Did you, growing up, were you into this stuff? How did you get into the paranormal?
I've been into the paranormal since I was little, and I think that starts with the family ghost story that my dad and my mom were staying in a hotel that used to be a castle in England because my mother wanted to stay in a 4-poster bed, like it was her romantic princess dream. And so they went to this place in Sheffield and had a great time. You know, going to sleep, middle of the night, my dad wakes my mom up. And he's like, can't you hear them? They're just making so much noise. And she is just like, what is happening, right? Like, what, Alan, what is going on? Go back to sleep. And he's like, can't you hear them? And she's like, I can't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So he won't.
Terrifying thing to wake up to your husband saying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Especially like the burly Englishman that my father was. Terrifying.
Yeah.
So, and my dad
absolutely.
wasn't like London. He was from Sheffield. So like
Okay.
real deep Yorkshire accent. So
Mhm.
he wakes her up and she's like, oh, and he can't settle down. So he's like, we're sleeping with the lights on. She's like, great. So the next morning they go down and my dad's like, what was happening in the room next door? And he's like fighting all the stuff. And like the innkeeper is like, oh, they've come early this year. And they're like, what do you mean? Oh, the spirits normally don't show up till the fall, but they've come a little early.
Whoa.
And this innkeeper proceeds to tell them the story of the master of the house, whose surname was Staniforth,
No
What?
way.
who had gotten the maid, his mistress, pregnant. And she confronted him on it. They got into a huge fight. He ended up killing her
Oh
Whoa.
boy.
and feeding her to the pigs outside.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
And so apparently this haunting comes up quite often, but they think it showed up because of the Staniforth connection.
Sure.
Whoa.
So like I knew that story from like young.
So your
And
dad was hearing them like argue, or was
argue
he
and fight.
hearing the pigs eat?
Not the pigs, but hearing them
Okay.
argue and fight. A man and a woman going to town.
Damn.
Wild.
Wild. So I start with like, that's the first, like, oh, here, by the way, I think also growing up being told by adults all the time, like, oh, you're an old soul. You're an old soul. And then you're like, what does that mean? And then, you know, they tell you like, you've lived times before and all that. And you're just like, I'm 4. I'm like, okay. But also growing up in the age of In Search Of,
Mm-hmm.
Unsolved Mysteries, that's incredible, real people, Time Life, you know, Mysteries of the Unknown book series. My set is sitting to the right of me over here. Like
Yep.
all of that, I would read every ghost book I could in the library. Like that was just me as a kid. And my parents were great because they're like, okay. Like they didn't discourage it or anything like that. When I got into my teen years, I got very religious for a while. Not terrible religious in a hateful way, but like just, and it was never like, oh, I can't be into the paranormal. It's just like it got quiet
like,
for a while.
Jesus is just all right with me.
I'm like, Jesus
Yeah.
is just all right with me. Also, ghosts, Holy Spirit, hello, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
We talking about ghosts and the supernatural in the Bible all the time. There's so
The
much.
original zombie, our
Right?
Lord and Savior.
Exactly. So, you know, but then it's like, it's always been there. It's always been there for me. And now this idea, like one of my loves as a, you know, American Studies scholar, which for people who don't know, it's the how and why of American history and culture. Like, because people think it's Abraham Lincoln riding on a bald eagle carrying the American flag. Like, it's not that. It's really about filling in the silences, like talking about real history. And so like the idea of me getting to connect people with history and teach them about history, but then also I get to tell them ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we've talked about this recently, I feel, Riley, that like how ghosts are, maybe this was with Z and Ansley, about how like ghosts are a window to the past. You know, they are a direct connection to history.
Mm-hmm.
A direct connection to history. And I think they can also tell us a lot about our own anxieties around death and grief avoidance, and just like depending on what's coming up for people or like what they're afraid of. It's like, ooh, let's like get a little Freudian. Like, what are we really talking about?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's that the fear of the abyss and being forgotten forever. You know, it's
Absolutely.
a lot
Because
to
we
contend
can't
with.
conceptualize that, right? That idea
Mhm.
of just not existing someday.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
It's
I
horrifying.
know.
It's existential dread.
It-
Yeah.
Happy-
Pure existential
happy day,
dread.
everyone.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, you got to get good with it. That's the whole thing we're doing here. You got to.
You got to get good with it. and not have it wake you up at 3:30 in the morning like it often does me, and then go, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I will die one day. There will come a time where I'm like, I'm dying, and then I'll be dead.
And it'll be true.
And it'll be true.
But Michael, one, know that there is data that shows the more that we wrestle and face our own mortality, the fuller lives we live.
Great.
So know that.
I like that.
Also, think of the next time you wake up at 3:30 in the morning, just be like, maybe blueberry muffins. Maybe I'll smell them.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe Frank
Maybe
will bake you some blueberry muffins at 3:30 in the morning.
Man, what if like heaven is just one big blueberry muffin, you know?
I'm fine with that.
I would be
delicious.
Too. Darcy, there is a game that we like to play with every guest that comes on the show. I'm going to go down a list of phenomena rapid fire style. If you are open to it, you're going to say believe it. If you are not open to it, you're going to say bullshit. This is a game that we like to call bullshit
or believe it.
All right, Darcy Staniforth, on your mark, get set, ghosts.
Believe it.
Bigfoot.
Believe it.
UFOs.
Believe it.
Mothman.
Believe it.
ESP.
Believe it.
Chupacabra.
Believe it.
The Abominable Snowman.
Believe it.
Ouija boards.
Believe it.
The Loveland Frogman.
Ooh. Great lore, but bullshit?
Hopkinsville Goblins.
Ooh. Believe it.
Skunk Ape.
Believe it.
Hollow Earth.
Bullshit.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Believe it.
Crystal Balls.
Believe it.
The Beast of Busco.
Believe it.
Out-of-body experiences.
Believe it.
The Michigan Dog Man.
Believe it.
Tarot cards.
Believe it.
Wendigos.
Believe it.
Life on other planets.
Believe it.
Life after death.
Believe it.
Crushed it, Darcy. Wow. We got, I mean, you know, we don't rank this between bullshit or believe it, but I do love that we had only two, and there was the bullshits, and it was the Loveland Frogman taking shots, and then Hollow Earth.
Loveland Frogman, different reasons. Hollow Earth, so many feelings about so many things that we don't have time to get into.
We don't.
And if
that's another episode. We'll have you back. Yeah.
The Hollow Earth people are going to come after you now.
Yeah, they will.
What if it's not the Hollow Earth people? It's just the Loveland Frogman people.
Yeah.
That would be hard and heavy.
It's somewhere in the center of the earth. Logan Frogman's like, what the fuck?
It's both. They're both. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's time to dive into some L files with our guest, Darcy. Stay tuned. All right. Now, Darcy, it's time to open up the L files. That's short for listener files. These are stories that listeners have sent in to us at BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com. If you have stories, please write to us. And you know what? I'm going to give you a prompt. Weirdest places you've ever been and what you may have encountered there. Okay? Let that just be an inspiration for you. Riley, before I crack open this file cabinet, why don't you nominate our 5-star Club Scout of the week? This is someone who's given us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help get the show to more people.
Well, this one's from Mystery Yeet Person. Cool.
Yeet.
And yeet. The subject is 5-star emoji. It's 5 and then star emoji in parentheses.
Yeah.
Join the Pates, and Riley saying my name will live rent-free in my brain forever. Thank you, BCC boys. Love all your content. 5 stars. Oh,
It's
well, nice to be
just
there.
that simple, Mystery Yeet Person. We love it.
Yeah.
You are our 5 Yeet Club Scout of the week. Okay. I'm going to crack open the first L file. Darcy, we're going to want your insight on this one.
I'm excited.
We were discussing ASMR before in our various stance
That's just Michael rifling through the files. It's
Yeah, getting into these.
Right.
They're
just
very
getting into
thin.
the
It's
files.
very thin paper.
I'm getting the files out now.
Getting the files. Guess what? This is.
Gonna read one.
It's just sexual. Admit it. Okay, here we go.
Admit it.
that is the ultimate ASMR, right? BCC After Dark.
sexual. Oh yeah.
Everyone, just come into the L files.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's going to be a tier soon on the page.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time. Hey, Michael and Riley, Brian. Another. Oh, wait, no, this is not the same person. Never mind. Sorry. Don't worry about my brain, everybody. It's gonna be fine. Brian
good.
from San Diego here. Huge fan and Cosmeteer member. I've been listening to the show for 6 years.
Nice.
Hell yeah, you're almost OG. And your show was the first paranormal podcast I ever found and is still my favorite. So, back in the early 2000s, my wife and I were house sitting for my in-laws. The home had an apartment in the basement for guests, so we were staying down there while the room upstairs were locked up. One night, around 3 a.m., hour of high strangeness, of course, my wife and I were jolted awake by heavy footsteps on the deck approaching the front door of the house upstairs. Looking at each other nervously, then up to the ceiling above us, we then heard the front door open. Not kicked in, not fiddled with like someone was trying keys, just open. We knew for a fact it was deadbolted shut, so we were freaked out. After the door opened, we heard those heavy footsteps walk further into the house and over our heads. All right, I'd be pissing the bed by this point.
Yes,
Absolutely.
This is terrifying.
Now, Brian did what anybody should do in this situation. I grabbed a knife and told my wife to get ready to call the police.
Nice, Brian.
Then I dial 911, and then wait
Just
for
be
my
ready.
cue.
Yeah.
Then I walked up and over to the front door, which was still open, and yelled into the house, bluffing, of course, "I have a gun! You better get out!" After no answer or further movement, I cautiously went in and looked around. After checking all rooms, I found the house empty, which would be impossible because there are no side doors, no open windows, no other way would the intruder been able to have gotten out. The deadbolt on the front door was still in the locked position. That is crazy.
Shut up. That's crazy.
But there was no broken wood on the door frame.
Oh, it's just like the particles just aligned and it just opened.
Yeah. Going back
physics
down to
goes.
talk to my wife, who had heard me yell and had her phone in her hand, I asked her, "Did you hear running footsteps or climbing noises or anything?" Which she replied, "No." She had never believed in ghosts or aliens or anything paranormal until that day. The whole thing doesn't have an explanation we can rationalize. Coincidentally, years later, I bought a home just around the corner from that place, and I drive by it frequently. Maybe if I knew the neighbors a little better, I would ask them if anything strange has happened since they lived there, but that's a weird thing to bring up randomly to someone you don't know. Haha. Anyway, hope you like my ghost burglar story. Love your show. Keep up the amazing job you do and have a great day. Brian. Whoa.
Brian.
Now, my only, skeptic thought is it possible that the door was dead bolted but not in the latch and maybe the wind blew it open?
Like it wasn't
right?
closed. You turned the bolt. That'd be hard to do, but
It'd be hard to do. Yeah, it would be hard to
I
do.
suppose if you're like carrying groceries in and not paying attention, it's possible.
But we got to we have to go with the word that like the upstairs was locked up. You know, it seems like
Right.
they knew it was locked up.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy.
My other thought in that, Michael, is kind of what you're thinking. Like, you know, sometimes you go to shut a door with a deadbolt, but the deadbolt comes out and you're like, oh, I can't shut the door. But it seems, especially since they were like staying there, that they were very like, oh, we're shutting, like we're locking the thing down.
And it's the in-laws' house, so it's locked up.
Yeah. You don't want to upset your in-laws. You don't want to be like,
No.
like, yeah, whatever. We threw a party. We'll just let anyone come in. I would have I would have called the police. Number one, that to me, that's how you end up on Dateline.
Yeah. I have to catch myself because even if it was the wind, that does not explain the heavy footsteps.
Yes,
No.
exactly. The very clearly heard by two parties, heavy footsteps.
Yeah. Okay, we got a ghost situation going on here.
Yeah, because the thing with like, I don't know, people get very like, oh, it's the house settling. Sure. I know a lot of times it's the house settling, but you know footsteps. You know footsteps when you hear them.
Yeah, I live in an apartment, and the person upstairs from me, trust me, they clomp, 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 clomp. I know what the sound of footsteps over my head sounds like.
Yeah.
I don't have an explanation for that.
Brian, you got us.
Yeah.
You got ghosted.
Yeah. I can only hope if I become a ghost that I have boots on, so you can really have the gravitas,
Yeah.
And not just like padding around and like barefoot.
Yeah, just like if you had like slippers on, it'd be a bummer because you're like trying so hard to manifest. And
to be fair though, Riley, you are very tall.
Yeah.
So I feel like even if you had slippers on, there would still be some gravitas.
A little gravitas to it.
Right.
This reminds me, I've told this story on the podcast before, but when I was in college, we lived in what felt like a haunted apartment. We had some activity. And one time I was in the shower and heard the back door that we always used, my roommate and I, because we would park out back, open and close, and someone walk into the living room. And I was like, hey, Jamie. And didn't hear anything back. And I was like, well, whatever. Got out of the shower. There was nobody there. And the door in this case was still dead bolted. It wasn't left open. But I've been at least in a situation where like I clearly heard a locked door open and close and that was dead bolted and footsteps come into the room. So there's something to this.
I haven't had it with a door. I've had it with a window. Like a sliding window that was latched and heard that window and open.
No,
and then
that's so scary.
And the window hadn't moved, but it was like the sound. Like, and this was in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Of course.
But yeah, like those. I mean, you know those noises. Like there are noises that we just know.
Yeah. Yikes! That gave me real shivers in a bad
spooky.
Way.
That's a creepy
I didn't like the window opening thing. Brian, very spooky. Riley, hold on. Let me get you one.
Yeah. Can you? Michael's reaching into the cabinet now.
Here you go.
So many files.
So
many sexy files.
Let's check this one out.
This is somebody's favorite episode of the podcast.
Yes.
Oh, finally. Okay.
All right. So this letter begins.
This is from Graham. This does Graham from Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
There is a video that goes along with this one. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a preface. He had written to us on the Patreon talking about how some funny things and spooky things had happened, like the day he ordered something off my graphic novel off my shop on eBay.
Got it.
And he made a joke about that on Patreon. Okay, here we go.
Okay, context. And I have watched this video and I have opinions.
Yeah.
So I made that joke last week about buying from Michael's eBay store and something strange happening. Well, this is strange. Was just out walking the dogs in the early evening and spotted a white light moving in the evening twilight to the south. It looked odd as it was white and round, not like the usual planes we see around here, as we live a few miles from an airport. You can hear a plane landing in the background. I checked my flight app, and there's nothing in the sky in that direction. I love that he's checking a flight app. That's so awesome. The nearest was the plane that had just landed and a RAF transport plane 100 miles away to the east traveling in a southerly direction. I then spotted a second light next to it that sort of blinked out in a rainbow pattern and vanished. At this point, I started videoing as I knew this was something strange. I'm on an iPhone, so I've got the zoom lens, which I use to get context so you can see it's moving. Also really appreciated that in the video, that it wasn't just zoomed in light. Graham, you're doing it right. That was me talking. There is then a third light that it flies toward and it goes past. I thought at the time this might be a star, but I checked later and there is nothing that bright in that part of the sky. When I zoomed in, I was sure this wasn't a plane. I suspect the shape is an artifact of the lens and digital zoom, but the colors are not artifact colors.
Yeah.
I stopped the video to double check my plane app, and when I looked back in the sky, it had gone. Not a trace anywhere.
Wow.
Of course it vanishes while it's not being filmed.
Yep.
I've attached the video and the plane location. The light was in the south of my location and moving north. It's not the most exciting video, I disagree, but it's my best proof I've ever caught of all the things I've seen over the years, so thought I would share and get your opinion on it. Well, it's bedtime here in a few hours, and if anything is going to visit, it's getting punched. Just a callback to an earlier letter. Graham. Oh, Graham, thank you for this. And yeah, I mean, did you guys watch this video?
Yep.
Yeah, and Riley, can we cut this into the YouTube video and put this in some playback into the...
I think we have the technology. Yeah, I think we can
Great.
make
And
that
then
happen.
I will also just post it as a separate video if people just want to go look at it on our YouTube as well with Graham's permission. But I'm just going to give the quick setup. Graham is out in a rural area where his home is and filming sort of, up at the sky, and you can see this light. Now, we'll put it up where you guys can watch it. Maybe we'll play it here as we talk about it. Riley, you were very excited about this, and Darcy, so were you when you texted me. What are your guys' thoughts on this video?
Riley, go
for
first.
start, yeah, I mean the movement of it is strange. Like when you're first looking at it, you're like, okay, let's start ruling things out. Like, could be a plane. He checked the flight app, love that. And also, it's like it doesn't really seem plane like at all. It's not the right colors, and it's just the movement. It feels wrong. And I was like, okay, like maybe that's a drone, but then you're looking at like how far that is to how bright it is, and it feels wrong. That doesn't quite track. And then he does a really nice job of providing context of the distance by zooming in and out. Also, looks beautiful there, Graham. Very nice. And
I got wistfully jealous of
so nice there.
the world Graham lives in.
Yeah. And then upon the zoom in, and I like that he rules out the shape is likely due to lens artifacting, light over long distance. Great. Love that. But the color shifts in it are weird.
Yeah.
Very
Unlike what you normally see from like iPhone artifact stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
I was, and then just the sudden like quick movements too, where it kind of darts down all of a sudden. I was like, wow, this is, I haven't really seen anything like this before. So I was pretty impressed. And the fact that he has all this sort of corroborating, like checking the stars, checking the planes, like he's doing his homework.
In the original email, because I hadn't downloaded these. It's been a couple months since Graham sent this to us, and he also included a video of a plane flying that maybe I can get him to resend to me. He just resent me for context, but I don't even think you need it, because you can look at this thing and tell it is not an airplane.
Not a plane. It's not a plane.
It's just sitting there.
No. Could
Darcy,
be maybe a helicopter, but also you'd hear that.
Yeah, you'd hear it.
Or the distance with the light, it doesn't track.
And the blinking lights on helicopters and planes do not. This almost, when you zoom in, because I even zoomed in like on it even closer.
Zoom in, enhance.
And enhance. It almost looks like it has rainbow colored lights moving around, like in a halo around the center of whatever the object is. Darcy, what do you think?
Yeah, because not a plane. Drones also have other lights, right? Not a helicopter. And that, exactly, the distance and the first kind of like, again, skeptic brain kicks in. And I'm like, is this someone with one of those insanely powerful flashlights? Like the ones that you can blind people with? Because of some of the movement, it almost looks like if someone was like messing around with one of those.
Kind of like a laser pointer.
Yeah, like a laser pointer, but
it does kind of move like that a little bit.
It does move like that. But to your point, Michael, when you zoom in on it, the way that the light is flashing and the other colors, I'm like, that it is not a flashlight to me. And what I found especially unsettling about this video is like, we're watching it, he's zooming in, he's doing a great job. Again, beautiful space he lives in Scotland. But then when the dogs start barking out of nowhere, and
we did mention that part.
It's not like he's like, oh, or it's just all of a sudden quiet video, watching something in the sky, up close, far away, all this. And then dogs start losing their minds.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, I since you sent that to me, I'm just like, oh, I can't stop thinking about that video.
It sometimes you see videos and you're like, this has a distinct presence that sets it apart from other UFO videos. Even ones where you're like, yeah, I don't know what that is. Like this has something special to it, Graham. So keep your eyes peeled. Like,
send us more videos if more things happen.
Yeah.
Buy more off of Michael's eBay shop, apparently.
Yeah.
It comes with
every
a UFO.
time you buy a collectible, a UFO appears over your house.
Yeah, maybe that's the delivery.
All right, Darcy, do you have time for one more L file?
Absolutely. Let's
All right, here we go. Let me flip back
All
through.
right, now let's get that last L file out. You feeling good
Got
about
it?
that last L file?
Okay, here we go. Hey, BCC boys and Darcy. Insert obligatory compliments here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I've been thinking about writing in about some of my paranormal experiences for a while now, but after Michael's segment on ghost cars, trains, and vehicles, this is from last October, I figured it's finally time to write in. We talked about, Darcy, like Lincoln's Ghost Train and Phantom Trains and that kind of stuff. Like the Ghost Riders.
I've listened to the episode.
Okay, fair. Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate you. I grew up in Colorado Springs. That's where I was born, Dan. And back in 2009, 2010, when I was around 13 or 14, my friends and I used to go exploring around in a drainage ditch that went under a major road. Hell yeah, man. Totally.
As one does.
Do this all the time. And was adjacent to our neighborhood. I say it was a drainage ditch, but this thing went for miles in either direction and was usually just a small creek with steep embankments on either side. We spent a lot of time down there and found all sorts of things. Yes, so did I. But one of the learned a lot about the bag of porn I found down there. But one of the strangest things we found was an entire truck that was buried so deep that you could only see the top of the cab sticking out from the ground.
Whoa.
Wild.
That is
one night, two of my friends and I were down in the ditch just fucking around at 2 a.m. or so. We didn't drink or smoke weed yet. We were just hooligans. When all of a sudden, we saw headlights coming towards us. Now, technically, the ditch was private property, and we weren't supposed to be down there, so we assumed it was someone from city maintenance or something like that, and we took off running up the hill back towards the neighborhood. As we were running up the hill, we looked back to see that a truck was following us. Now, from the top of the hill we were running up to the neighborhood street was probably 200 feet, and there was a major road off to the left. We got up the hill, ran to the entrance to our neighborhood, and looked back only to see that there was no truck. Don't get me wrong, the truck absolutely could have hopped onto the road and driven off, but this was 2 a.m. in a relatively quiet part of town. You could see the road for at least a couple miles in each direction, and there wasn't a single car in sight. I asked one of the friends I was with that night about it about a month ago or so to make sure he remembered it the same as I did, and he confirmed that he remembered it the same way. I guess there's always a chance we just missed it getting on the road, but it was probably only 5-ish seconds between us reaching the top of the hill and turning back to see the truck had vanished. So I'm convinced to this day it was the ghost of that truck we found buried in the creek. Thank you for making a great pod, Dan.
Ghost truck.
Ghost
truck, dude.
Ghost truck. That's it.
You found the ghost truck's body, and then the ghost truck's ghost haunted you.
Yeah.
That's the only logical explanation for this.
What was that truck doing down there?
How many years did it take to be buried? Was it like immediately? Was this a flash flood thing, or
was it something that was buried and
it was
because of
like,
other
we gotta hide the truck
being uncovered?
Yeah.
Oh, like an old mob hit or something.
Yeah. The mob trucks hit this truck and buried it.
And the ghost truck is trying.
Weirdest Disney
it's trying to
version
reach
of
out.
Cars ever.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
This is
It is. This is what happens to cars in the Cars
true
universe. This is very weird. I love this. It feels like mundane on the surface, but the more you think about it, the more highly strange this situation really kind of is.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that like they had been, I mean, I understand it went on for miles and miles, but like that they had been down there so many times and then the truck appears.
Yeah.
And then the truck appears. Like,
not till after they found the truck's body.
right.
Now it feels like the truck should appear to show them where its body was, but maybe it's the truck thanking you, Dan, for finding it.
That's how we're going to write it in the script when we make this into a movie, by the way, is that the truck is going to appear. It's going to almost run them over, but then they're going to jump off into the ditch, discover the truck body.
And then you know what they find in there? All of those E.T. Atari cartridges from the 80s.
Just going to say that. I totally had that E.T. Atari game, and it was impossible to solve.
Man, it was so... Well, they didn't finish making it. Riley, you know this story, right?
I don't actually know.
Okay, so real fast, in the 80s, they made... E.T. came out. It's a huge hit. Atari was like, we have to make an E.T. game, and we're going to sell it over Christmas or whenever the movie came out. It's going to be the biggest video game of the season.
Okay.
And I can't remember the full story, but the designer was given like no time to make this game. And it was supposed to be like Steven Spielberg is producing an Atari game.
Right.
So it became one of the most mass-produced game cartridges. It sold a ton. And then it was quickly, everyone realized it was garbage.
So bad.
Like a really bad game, like hard to control. You're always like falling in holes and you can't get out of the holes.
All the time you're falling in holes.
It was such a disappointing game. So basically what they did was, the legend was that they took all of these leftover cartridges and just buried them somewhere out in the desert. And there's a whole documentary that you can watch where they actually find it, and it turns out to be true.
Whoa.
But basically it killed Atari, and it killed home gaming systems until Nintendo came out in 85.
That's where I jumped in. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh God, it was such a shitty game.
It was so terrible.
So bad.
You're like, I'm falling in a hole. I'm collecting more Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
I'm falling in a hole. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, his neck, like he'd do the neck thing. And you're like, I don't know why that just happened. And then you were trying to build parts to get him to go home. You could never.
Yeah, you're trying to build the telephone
parts.
thing and you can't find all the parts.
Nope.
I don't know if they actually made all the parts in the game.
I don't think they did.
Distinctly possible. Yeah.
Because like this was in a time when like you got to a point where you could solve a game. You played it enough.
Yeah.
Not this one.
God, that game was so bad. I played it at my friends across the street, and I was just like, "What is this? ET's cool. This sucks." All right. Well, thank you, Darcy, for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be in the clubhouse.
I know. It's
Happy
great.
to
Where
have
can
ya.
people find you? How can people book a tour if they want to come down to the Kellogg House?
Absolutely.
Where do we direct everybody?
Let me give them all the deets. So tours are through Haunted Orange County, so hauntedoc.com. I do both the Kellogg House and downtown Santa Ana. I'm the ghost queen of Santa Ana right now.
Great.
And then also, if people want to investigate the Kellogg, I'm also the paranormal coordinator at the museum now. So you can come investigate with me. And then on the socials,
Awesome.
I'm on most everything, Darcy Staniforth, Staniforth. I'm sure you'll link them in the notes. And then on the Clock app, I miss Darcy Staniforth. So find me. I love hearing from folks, especially when they've found me through BCC and shows, because it's always nice to know people are listening. But yeah, that's where folks can find me. Reach out. I love connecting with other fellow weirdos, and this is part of how we all connected. So
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
you find
How
new
we've connected
best friends and all this.
With most of our new friends. What's the Clock app? I am not
TikTok.
familiar. Oh, right. Duh. All right. I'm done. Everybody, I'm done. Done.
You know what it is? It
Darcy,
got too
you know what?
sexy.
You can host the show now because I'm done.
It's okay.
I'm done. I am out. All right. Thank you, Darcy.
Thanks, y'all.
Oh boy, I'm so excited to talk to Darcy again, and I feel like we've barely scratched the surface with paranormal activity that follows that woman around. So we gotta do another ghost quest, okay?
We definitely should. We at least the Kellogg, and then whatever that other Victorian that she's looking after.
Oh yeah.
We should go.
Sure.
We gotta go questing.
Get back down there. Let's quest down there. Let's bring some more cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I got all this equipment still sitting in my closet. It's not been used. Let's get down there. What are we thinking? We'll grab some friends. We'll go down.
Mm-hmm.
Get maybe Marcy and Betsy would want to come with us.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to make any promises that we can't keep, but I'm just saying.
Here we are.
Let us know, everybody. Let's swing by the Collector's Corner. Riley, What are you listening to, reading, watching, collecting this week?
This week, recently, I went and saw my friends. Some of my friends are in the band. This band, Black Mountain, played at the Lodge Room.
Cool.
So that's going to be, both of those things are my recommendation for this week. If you're in Los Angeles, go see a show at the Lodge Room. They have such good shows. It's so well curated. It's a great sounding and vibey venue. And I'm pretty sure it's called the Lodge Room because it was a Masonic.
I think it was a Masonic Lodge, yeah.
Yeah. And there's also a great bar next to it called Checker Hall. It's really cool. It's great in Highland Park.
By the way, my great-grandfather on my mom's mother's side was a Freemason. And I think that means that I can become a Mason because my great-grandfather was.
Get in there.
What am I doing?
I want to know what that's all about. What's the deal?
I can't tell you anything that I learned in there.
Oh yeah.
I'm sworn to secrecy.
Well, you can go to the Lodge Room. You can tell everyone about it. And
it's true.
Let me tell you, Black Mountain put on a hell of a show at the Lodge Room. They're like
sweet.
They're like, it's kind of like if it's like a modern classic rock, like sort of Sabbath. It's sort of dreamy. It's fuzzy. It's heavy. It's cool. It's good. It goes down smooth. It's good. You'll like it. Listen to Black Mountain. That's my collector's corner for the week. Yeah.
Well, if you guys have Disney Plus at home, you know that I am very much excited about the return of Andor. Some of my top Star Wars storytelling of all time. Season 2 just started. As of this recording, I've seen the first 2 episodes. And I am loving it. Oh God, Riley! I
watched the first one on your recommendation.
You did? Okay, great.
I didn't know it's back. I love that synthy vibe, dude.
The music is so good.
You just get kind of lost in it. It's nice.
And I feel they're doing like 3 episodes every week for 4 weeks. So you basically get like a Star Wars movie once a week for the next month. So if you're listening to this, like the second batch has come out. But it's really good. I feel like season 1, everyone was like, wait a minute, this kind of feels like it's more grown up. Like this feels like not the kids' Star Wars that we're used to. And it doesn't break it so much, but like this season, it's very clear that this is like prestige cable drama. You know what I mean? And it's definitely better written than most of the stuff. And it's written to feel more like Game of Thrones than like a Star Wars cartoon or something. So I'm loving it. It's great. All the acting is really good. I cannot wait to see where it goes and how it leads into Rogue One. So Andor season 2, that's what I'm all about right now.
Cool. That's fun.
There you go. All right, everybody. One last thanks to Darcy for joining us. Riley and I are crossing over to the other side to rank our top 10 encounter stories of all time. That's right.
You won't believe who's number 1.
You won't believe who's number 6. There's some of these. It's going to be controversial.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say there'll be some debate on the chats over on the other side. So good time to come over and get involved.
Come yell at us and tell us why we're wrong.
Yell at us and tell us how we're wrong. If we don't see you over there on Friday, we'll see you back here next Wednesday for an all new episode and an all new exciting entry into the Bigfoot Collectors Club. Until then, good night. Closing the file cabinet. We're gonna go to sleep. It's just for sex. It's just what it is. It's worse than sex. Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced and engineered by Riley Bray and executive produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Follow Suneaters on Spotify. For 3 bonus episodes every month and ad-free episodes, check out BCC The Other Side at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.